Let's go to Howard Dean. He's on Meet the Press as well. He's going to respond to some of what Axelrod said and make some, in my opinion, some undeniable points, some okay points. Let's find out which one is which. Let's go to clip number one first.
Here's the major problem, David. We have committed in this last week of unseemly scrambling for votes, we have committed to go down a path in this country where private insurance will be the way that we achieve universal health care. That means we're going to have a 30-year battle with the insurance industry every time when we try to control costs and try to get them to do things. It is not a coincidence, David Gregory, that insurance company stocks, health insurance company stocks, hit a 52-year high on Friday. So they must know something that the rest of us don't. I think that's a big loss. And the bottom line is, in an unseemly scramble for votes that have nothing to do with long-range public policy, we have really essentially cut out the idea that Americans will have a choice of a different kind of insurance system, the same kind of insurance system people over 65 have, the same kind of insurance that veterans have. A lot of us would have liked to have that system because it's so much more effective and, frankly, so much more satisfactory than what we see in the private insurance sector.
Without the public option, is your position say no to the bill?
My position is, let's see what they add to this bill and make it work. If they can make it work without a public option, I'm all ears. I don't think that's possible.
All right, now there it is. He hit the core of the problem, and that's every time I watch I wrote something about this, and then I watched Dean, and I was like, took the words right out of my mouth. I hadn't published it yet, so it's not like he got the idea from me, obviously, right? But that's why that's why we like the guy, because he speaks for us. He does. So what's the core of the problem? And the core of the problem of this bill is that it leaves private insurance intact. It leaves our system of getting health care in this country through private insurance. Why is that a bad thing? Because we feel that the sword of Damocles is hanging over our head at all times. Are they going to deny us care? If I get sick, are they going to pay for it? Are they not going to pay for it? Which parts are they going to pay for? Which parts are they not going to pay for? Now, why are we all so worried to death over this thing, sometimes quite literally? It's because their job is not to take care of you. Their fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, et cetera, is to make as much money as possible. How do you make as much money as possible? Well, obviously, to some degree, deny you care as much as the law allows them, right? And to charge you as high a rate as the law and the markets allow them. They make money by taking more from you and giving you less. That's what's fundamentally wrong with the system. Now, in other areas, whether it's, and we've talked about this a lot in the past, whether it's sneakers or TV or Doritos, other parts of the capitalist system, that's fine. There's competition, there's interplay, it all works out. But when it's your life on the line, whether it's the fire department, the police department, or health insurance, it's not fine. It's killing us, quite literally. So there are some good things in this bill. And I just wrote about this, and I said, look, fee for services is the system that we have now, where you say, all right, I'm going to pay you for that x-ray, and I'm going to pay you for that CAT scan, and I'm going to pay you for that doctor's office. It gives incentive to the whole system to inflate costs, to give more services so they can get recompensated for it. That's wrong, and there are things in this bill that try to address that. Might that work? It might. That's why I think, well, I'm encouraged by that part of it. I'm not positive it's going to work, but it's possible, right? And then there are parts of the bill that address other underlying problems in the healthcare system. But the one part it does not address is, in fact, it goes in the wrong direction. It says, you know what, we're going to make the private insurance companies larger and stronger because we're going to funnel 30 million new customers to them. Now, when you go to reform that system later, after you've made them that much larger, you're going to have that much a bigger problem reforming it. So that cancer has not been addressed. That's what Dr. Howard Dean is talking about. That's why he's right. So in the end, although there are some good portions of this bill, like what I call Band-Aids, subsidies, for example, right? They say, hey, you know what? I know a lot of people can't afford this, but we're going to present subsidies to those people so that they can afford the ever-increasing premiums. That's great, but in the short run, at some point, we're going to run out of those subsidies. And the Republicans and everybody else are going to come back and say, oh, we got a big deficit, and you know what, we can't afford those subsidies anymore, so the poor people and the middle-class people They're on their own. Now they have to pay those huge premiums on their own without the help of the government. What do you do when they run out of subsidies? And you think that the private companies aren't going to take all those subsidies as quickly as they possibly can and then turn around and go, all right, give me more. Of course they are. They're structured that way. That's the problem. So there are some band-aids, and they do reforms, some regulations, etc. But there's 100 ways to get around the regulations. So, hey, you know what? They can't deny you for pre-existing conditions anymore. But they can charge you 50% higher premium. Okay, so if you have the money, that's great. But if you don't, well, then you're stuck in the same place. Hey, you know what? They can't charge you more if you're a woman or a man, etc. And in the beginning, it was even if you're older. Now, all of a sudden, they can charge you 3 times as much premium if you're older. So are there loopholes? Definitely. Are there ways around that regulation and that reform? Definitely. So we got a couple of huge band-aids, and I'm not saying they're not huge, but it doesn't cure the underlying disease. It makes it worse. That's what we're worried about. That's why ultimately I say no to this. And then when we do, we get, disdain and mocking and criticism.